Hi guys, and welcome back to another episode of Podghost. And as you can see today, for the first time, I'm doing a podcast on my own. Seff told me to kind of get lost. Nah, on the real. So today, guys, I've got someone on the show today. He's someone I've been after for quite a while now. So without further ado, I'd like to bring on to the show Shabaz, also known as Shabaz Says.
Yeah.
How are you doing, my brother?
I don't even think I know my own name anymore. Honestly, when people say Shabaz, I'm like, no, you're missing the says of it. But
yeah,
no,
you know what? That's why I asked you off camera. I said, shall I call you Shabaz Says or Shabaz? And you're like, just call me Shabaz.
No, I recorded something recently, and
Yeah.
on the it was like a game show, and on the podium they were like, "Do you want us to write Shabaz Says?" I said, you do realize my name's not that. Like my name is Shabaz. You can keep that. So yeah.
But what if they think your name might be Shabaz Says, might be your surname?
That's.
There are some
I
footballers.
said that to my mum. I joked and I said, I'm going to remove my because my surname's Ali. So I was like, I'm going to remove Ali and put Says, and she's like, oh, you can't do that. That's our family name. I was like, yeah, but the family name could be Says now.
Yeah, but bro, you know what the funny thing is? I think on a business tip, that's probably not a bad idea.
Yeah.
If you think of it that, because when you made such a name as, when someone calls you out, they're not going to say Shabaz. They're naturally going to just call you by your handle. Shabaz Says.
Yeah.
So I think with you, that probably would be a good move.
But the people do in the streets, if they ever see me, they'll be like, Shabaz Says. And I'm
Shabaz
like,
Says, what's happening?
yeah, I'm like, yeah. So yeah, I always get really overwhelmed with it. I used to really struggle with people saying hello in the streets, but I think as time's gone on now I'm a bit more.
We are gonna come into all of your fame
Sorry,
side and being bro. No, I love that. So, bro, before we start, I love asking my guests about them growing up.
Yeah.
Where you grew up, how it was for you. Obviously, I'm not asking for postcodes, but I'm just saying, where you grew up, how it was growing up, and how you found yourself doing social media and what you do on a general.
So I grew up in Blackburn, very small town.
Big up Blackburn.
Yeah. And do you know what? Honestly, I grew up not really liking my town until I got older, and now I love being from there.
Yeah.
Because I think growing up, it was all about South and Southerners and wanting to be in London. And I came down to London when I was 18, and I stayed here for a couple of years, and then I moved back. And growing up, honestly, I always thought that my hometown, my aspirations and my dreams and what I wanted to do was too small for my town. I was like, I need to get out because I'm going to be stunted here. Growing up now, I can look back and go, actually, it doesn't matter where you are. You can do what you're doing regardless of where you're at. I mean, I am having to come down to London quite a lot. But,
of course, that's probably because all the most meeting hubs.
And that's fine. But I can still be successful from my hometown. And I think there's this notion that when you come from especially a small, predominantly known as Asian town,
of course,
people just think, they're not going to amount to much. There's some really successful people that have come out of the mainstream, especially people of colour. AJ, that from the BBC, she's been on loads of shows, and there's quite a few people that are doing stuff from small towns. So I never thought I was going to amount to much from there, but I always knew I wanted to do stuff. Social media was just a bit of a joke. Like, obviously, I grew up as an Asian person, so my mum was like, "What do you mean social media?
Doctor.
What do you mean, like doctor, straight into medicine or whatever." I went to uni, did biomedical sciences, and did my degree I did my masters and stuff. And then social media was a side gig, so I always knew that. Bear in mind, obviously, I grew up in an age before social media as well, and social media. Yep. So there was a time where we didn't really have any of that, and then it started coming. 2009, 10 was when it started to hit off. 11, 12, then the vloggers started to sort of form. And around about 13 is when I thought, right, I'm going to start recording my videos and just saying what was on my mind. I'm not going to lie, back then I was very controversial because it was that trying to get quick hits. So I said a lot of things that nothing like racist or whatever. A lot of people come back and they go, I was only a kid. I never said any of that because I wasn't an idiot. But I did say a lot of like controversial things. I think when I first started off, I used to make parody videos of Pharrell, which is really funny because recently when she followed me, she was like, I love your content. And I was like, I've come full circle here. I was like, I started off taking the mick out of you and now I've come full circle here.
Big up to Fulian on that point as well.
Honestly. And then I started making videos just on and off because uni got in the way, life always got in the way, and I always put it on the back burner. And then when lockdown hit, there was nothing else going on, was there? Like literally nothing else going on. So I thought, well, I can start making. And I never believed in TikTok. Like, when it was Musical.ly and stuff like that, I was like, nah, I'm a YouTube. I
never got into Musical.ly. I never thought Musical.ly even took off properly.
No, it wasn't for me. But I thought, let me just do long form videos. But the problem was life always got in the way. So there was always something, whether it was jobs, careers, like whatever it was, got in the way. So I never really got to focus on it. And I think part of it comes down to our upbringing. Our upbringing is that this world isn't for us. This space isn't for us because not only do our parents and our communities tell us that, society tells us that these spaces are for white people. Yeah. And in order for you to break into that, you have to dob yourself down. So if you look at some of the biggest comedians, how did they start off getting into mainstream? How did you get to the Apollo? Well, firstly, take the mick out of your Asian parents and your Asian upbringing and put on an accent. And
so true.
And I'm not judging them because that's the way they've tried to get ahead. But I never wanted to. I was like, I don't want to be the stereotypical dress up as an Auntie G and like do the whole. How many videos have we seen? Like
it's so
Lily
true.
Singh as well. How did she get so mainstream? Was she constantly taking it? Because it allows other people. It allows non-Asians.
I think what they do is they exaggerate on their own culture and exaggerate on the accent and the way they, if you're like, someone like Lily Singh, I remember start becoming a man and then the man will become a woman. And I think that was like the blueprint at the time, wasn't it?
And it was fine at the time. But I think where we are right now, we need to move ahead without having to, dog our own community down in order to be mainstream. And I think that's one thing I stand for. I always say I take the mic, and I was like, because the Harry Potter series is coming out, I'm a massive Harry Potter fan. I was like, the only time I'll ever dog myself down is to get on to Harry Potter. I was like, I'll be a taxi driver, I'll be whatever I need to be to get on to Harry Potter. But besides that, I was like, I just wanted to create videos to have fun. Lockdown happened, we were just making videos, and honestly, I didn't even, and today I sit here and I genuinely don't know how it happened. So somebody asked me the other day, I was like, what happened? And I was like, I don't know. Like, I genuinely don't know at this point. I still don't know what happened.
So with you, you're one of them ones who actually thinks, you took the full advantage of COVID at the time. Because obviously at the time, everyone was so bored. And I think it was more depression. Everyone just wanted to be happy. And you start creating content that made them happy and made them laugh at a time where there was not much to be happy about.
And I think what I did was that at that time, though, I was making content I thought I needed. So I'm not going to lie to you. I think what my content was the trending sounds, the doing things that other people are doing and trying to make content that I thought people would like. It's only when I started to make content that I liked or I enjoyed that it started to be successful, which is where it is.
Of course.
You are yourself, you do what's right by you, and if people want to join that journey, they will. And a lot of people don't graph like that. A lot of people think, well, I've made a video that's trending, but mine's not trending anymore. Why is mine not trending? So I'm going to stop doing it. Well, no, I didn't. And people always think that this happened overnight. It didn't happen overnight. I'm telling you, 2013, 14 is when I started making videos and being on YouTube and trying to get on the scene. It's been a long, graft. It's not been overnight.
To be honest, bro, a lot of successful people, I think that's the stereotype that people have. They think it all happened overnight. If they're speaking in between them, they'll be like, oh, he's so lucky. He's just got lucky. And I don't think people see what happens behind the scenes. Like, I know, being in the industry for such a long time, how much work, and the word I use is consistency. A lot of people easily will just think, it's not going to work, I'm done. They're thinking in 1 month they're going to get to a level of someone that's been doing it for nearly a decade.
100%.
And I think that's the issue why a lot of people don't actually make it, bro.
That's the business world as well. That's any world, isn't it? Like, I've opened my business, I want to be Richard Branson tomorrow. It's not going to happen. It doesn't happen for everyone, does it? And I think social media is that monster that you see success and you think, I want that success. And I've done it where I've sat there and I've looked at other people with less following and gone, why am I not getting the same? Why am I not being able to be as successful as them? And then it's only when I took a step back and I thought, well, I don't really care. Let me do my own, because my path is going to be my path that I'm going to pay for myself. I don't have to go down their journey. I need to do my own. And then when I did, I'm sat here now.
You smashed it. You've absolutely smashed it, bro. And I think with you, again, we are going to speak about your content in a bit. I think the most, admirable thing about your content is I think it's so original, bro. Like, me, when I first come across it, I was like, how did you think of that? It's such a basic idea to think, I'm rich, you're poor. And it's a bit like, I don't know why, but it reminds me a bit of the whole Cabby Lame sort of thing. Where he just used a simple idea and now everyone thinks, why didn't we do it?
And do you know what it is though? It's more so, it's what we're thinking.
Yeah, it is.
It's what we are all thinking. I've just verbalized it and put it on the internet. Like, when you watch these videos, how many times do you watch them and go, are you really showing off your car, or are you just telling me that you can't afford this is why I'm telling you? And it's times where, like, when you have friends or relatives where they come around, they're like, oh, do you know what I did yesterday? I bought this and I bought that. And you're like, well, you're not telling me because I can't afford that. So you're not telling me because you're successful. You're telling me because you're telling me, oh, I'm rich, you're poor. And honestly, it started off as a joke.
I absolutely love it. I think it's so original, honestly.
Just sat in bed going, well, this person clearly is rich, and they're probably telling us how rich they are. So I was like, and then it turned into this huge mammoth of a.
It became I think it's become obviously like a brand, bro.
Yeah.
Like people obviously know the word POVVO. They know what you're about. Anyone you speak, they're like, the rich, the poor guy, and I'm like.
Well, like
everyone knows.
People go out in places, and if they see something bougie, they'll write, "I'm rich or poor." They'll tag me in it. They're like, anytime someone does anything bougie, like if I'm out and about and somebody will see me and they'll be like, "Oh, look, I'm rich or poor." So it's become like a brand.
But to do that, bro, honestly, hats off to you, man. That's remarkable. But Shabaz, you know what I want to ask you? Your social media side, obviously everyone knows how it's kicked off and you've done so well. But is that what you do full time? Is that your full time job, like
No.
social media?
No, not at all. It's a part-time job. Do you know what? It's a full-time job, but I'm a teacher, and so I'm an educator. That's my job.
So you're actually a teacher?
Full-time teacher.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Like I'm not a TA. I'm not like not.
You say to your students, you're rich or poor.
Yeah. Well, I've worked in schools where there's a lot of I've worked in both sides of those schools, but I'm a teacher. So I think a lot of people. There's no disrespect to those people that make this a full career, because I genuinely always took the mick and I was like, it's not a career. Social media is not a job, it's not a career until
it happened.
It happened, and I'm like, my God, I haven't got time. I'm doing two full-time jobs and teaching, like a chemistry teacher, high school, been doing it for about 6 years, and juggling both of them at the same time, and this huge Goliath of a social media following is hard. It's so much harder now than it ever has been.
So I think my next question is inevitable. Students.
Yeah.
Now obviously every student must know that our teacher's famous or our teacher's on social media, or how do you take that? Like they must be trying to record you undercover and saying, "Oh, look at him," or.
Do you know what? I think so school had a bit of an issue. When I first started doing it, I was doing YouTube at the time. And in my first school, we had this big palaver. The minute they found out, there was all this and I was hiding it. I honestly felt like I was hiding. I was constantly scared that, they're going to find out. I never had confidence in it because I thought, what if they make me quit it? But I love doing it. It's one of my passions. Love filming and I loved editing. So that was I thought, I love doing this. And what a shame, because I'm I don't say this, I'm very humble with everything except teaching, because I know I'm a good teacher, right? So with social media, I'm like, it grew. But with teaching, I'm like, no, I'm a good teacher.
So you're a passionate teacher, you'd say?
I know I'm a good teacher. I walk in the classroom and I know I can teach children, right? So I knew I was going to be good at this job, and I knew that this is what I was meant to be doing. I've been searching for years of my purpose.
Yeah,
and
of course.
Teaching was my purpose. I was like, this is what I'm meant to be doing. I love doing it. And then when that social media thing became a thing, one of the kids found me on social media, and this is back when I didn't have a big following, but one of them found my videos, and then they went and told somebody, and somebody told somebody, and then the managers, my SL, senior leadership found out. And then there was all these conversations, got dragged in the head teacher's office like a proper pupil, got dragged in, what's this social media, But they never told me not to do it. They said to me, look at the pitfalls of it. Like a student could take pictures and send them across and do. And I said, I accept all the responsibility if that's going to happen. I'm an adult. I know how to behave. I know that my comments are blocked from pupils, certain keywords you can block. The older generation don't get that. They don't understand that social media can be such a good thing as well if you use it correctly.
Yeah, of
Privacy
course.
settings need to be on, comment section needs to be blocked, don't have messaging inbox. They wanted to protect themselves, which rightly so. But they also said, look, we're going to allow you to do it. And I do, with all their faults, I do praise them, because they were just like, go and do it. And then it just blew up from there, because after that, I had the power to go, well, actually, I know that a school has said yes. So any other school I went to after that, I was like, well, who are you? Like, if you don't want me, then bye, I'll go.
Exactly.
There are hundreds of the school. But I said that to my head teacher. I said, look, with all due respect, and I mean this most respectful way, I'm going to carry on doing my YouTube and being a teacher. And if this isn't the right place for it, then I'll go to a different school. And they were like, okay. I got a letter. They didn't say it to me. They got a letter in my pigeonhole, and it said on there, you're okay to do it. Just be careful. Don't mention the school, the kids, and anything. And I was like, if you've set conditions, but you're allowing me to do it, I'm happy to accept those conditions, which they weren't unreasonable. Like, don't mention the school, and don't go cuss out kids online. All right, I'm all right with that. So, yeah. But
I always thought like, generally, if I was to think of it as an outsider, I'd always think, especially with the Snapchat culture now, and so many people must be snapping you. Oh, look, teachers doing this, teachers doing that, and I've always thought that would be a problem with the school. I don't think the school, for them to...
because a lot of schools don't. A lot of schools have really strict mobile phone policies, don't they? So that there is that thing. So if you take your phone out, I'm going to take it off you. So that, there's the first rule.
And delete it.
Yeah, and delete it. Or you can record me, but it ain't going to go anywhere because I'm going to keep your phone and make your parents come in. You know what I mean? So like, it's one of those things that we have the power in that sense. Like as a teacher, I have the power in that room. And it's being able to control... No, I don't. There have been incidents. There have probably been incidents where they have. Like, I went to a school. I was working at a school where they had iPads, and believe me, you don't know what the phones do you, but the iPads you do, don't you? Because the iPads are out, and they've got them flipped over while I'm doing my bit. And there probably are hundreds of videos out there where kids have done like taking and make drone stuff. But to me, it was, am I going to stop? They can do that with my videos online. You know what I mean? So what's in my classroom? Like, somebody said to me, "But aren't you scared that they're going to take your videos and like take pictures of you in the classroom?" I'm like, well, no, because if they really are that desperate to draw all over my face or print stuff out and make videos and compilations and memes of me, there's hundreds of it. There's like millions of content.
I think what I like about you, I think you've embraced it, and I think you kind of like think, look, it's part and parcel of what I do. And that's why I think for people like us who ain't in that position, we always feel like God knows how you juggle it. But by the sounds of it, you seem like you've got it on lock.
The both of them are just, they just tie hand in hand. Like I do the good thing about my social media is I do it in bed, right? So the best thing is I just had to come home, put my pajamas on, climb into bed, record my video, go to sleep. So it's not like it's, I'm not setting up a full studio and doing all of that.
See, I think that's another thing. Again, I think with you, that's such a good thing because you don't need to worry too much about the setup. Don't worry too much about the lighting or, the way you've done it is so like everyday use. Like you can just do it here, while you just wake up in the morning, just do a video. And that's your content done for the day or two, So, even talking of your content, what was the first video for you that you knew, you know what, I've got something here? Because obviously everyone has that breakthrough moment in something they do. Whether it's like views or whether it's the engagement, whether it's the love you got on the street. There's always that moment where someone feels like, you know what, I'm going to do this full time or I'm going to do this with a passion.
Do you know what, honestly, this is really stupid, but a couple of weeks ago, that sounds really dumb, doesn't it? Like,
yeah, of course.
Because everyone's like, what do you mean you didn't ever? And I'll tell you why, is because for me, I'm really critical of myself. So I think, but that again comes from never feeling like you're enough, because we grow up with Asian parents and we're always compared to our aunties or the neighbors or whatever. So there's always that I can do better or I need to do better. So you never give yourself enough credit, and I don't give myself enough credit. I'll do something and I'll go, oh yeah. Some of my most viral videos, I've hated making them or I've hated them afterwards, and they are the most viral videos. So the Roy Sister Cherie one, I don't know if you've seen that video, which did like 23 million views. Course. I recorded that within 15 seconds, rolled over, went to bed, and I just uploaded it because I was just like, oh, I need to upload a video. Went to bed, woke up, and 2 hours later, I went for a nap, but I had a 4 hour nap. Woke up and I saw that it was on like 1 million views, and I thought, okay, this is going to be a big video. But even then, I never thought I was successful. Sounds insane, doesn't it? But I never ever thought I was successful until I had a meeting. I think I must have spoken to somebody, and they just shook me and they were like, look, at some point you're gonna have to get past that. You're gonna have to get over it, because it's brilliant you going, oh no, I'm not successful, but at some point you're gonna have to realize that you are and you're doing well. And I think the defining moment of knowing that, okay, this is something, is probably meeting people in the street, and like somebody, there was a moment, I can't think now at the top of my head, there was a breakthrough moment where I had an experience meeting someone, and I realized that this is bigger than me. Like this is big. Like it's not. I think times when I go like abroad and I was in a random, in the street in Prague, and this woman from Germany came up to me and was like, "Oh my God, I know you and I recognize you and I love your videos." And I was like, I'm in a remote place in the middle of nowhere and this random,
Blackburn.
you know what I mean? So I think, but it's still like, I don't think I've ever seen a video and gone, oh my God, I'm going to be really big off this. It's always gone, this video is going to do well and there's going to be numbers on it. But even then, the amount and the following and everyone following me, even when I hit 1 million, there were still times where I was just like, every time I go on a podcast or speak to somebody, I'm like, yeah, I don't really know why I'm doing it. But I genuinely have never felt the success until I guess now I meet with people. So I meet with like big producers and stuff, and
of course,
when they say it and they're like, or when like I met with someone in some big producer in BBC, and she was like, oh my God, I'm so grateful that you're having this meeting with me. And I'm like,
yeah, it's cool.
What do you mean? BBC, I was like, what do you mean? You're saying to me that? So it's those moments, and then yeah, I just had to have a wake-up call and think, do you know what? You need to own your success and own that it is bigger than you. This isn't just, you know, a couple of views. It's global, and like there's so many people that.
I think it does hit you more when, you know, numbers are great. You know, when you get numbers, that's fantastic. But at the same time, social media has become a thing where some people actually become known on social media, but they're not known in real life. If that makes sense. It's like some artists, they'll stream like big numbers in music, but when they go out, they won't really get stopped. And then you're thinking, who's actually listening to my stuff? You know, I'm getting numbers. But I think, like you said, when you get stopped on the street, I think that's when it kind of hits you that people actually like me or they recognize me.
It used to terrify me though. And I think numbers, I've never really ever looked at numbers, but then I always say this, I say it's always good for me to say, I don't look at numbers when you have 1 million followers. You know what I mean?
Of course.
It's brilliant to do. It's like a rich person saying, oh, I don't care about money, well, because you have it. So you don't care about money. But it's one of those things that it's never been my focus. My focus was just to make people laugh and make the best, funniest content I know I could make. But I never genuinely thought I was funny until... Well, I still don't think I'm funny. I genuinely don't think I'm funny. And when I talk, people are laughing. And I'm like, well, what are you laughing at? Because I'm just opening my mouth.
I'm just speaking,
I'm literally just opening my mouth and you're laughing. So I think I need to maybe see a therapist. I don't know. I genuinely need to just shake myself and get over it.
I think it's probably down to you being humble. And even, you know, when I approached you to come onto the podcast, like I said to you off camera, I said, I didn't expect a reply. Not because... you know, you're not a good person or whatever. But sometimes when you're into that million and you think, you know, I'm on that level, you know, I just thought, you know, let me ask him, see what he says. And to think that you wrote back and that we've been in conversation, voice noting. And I'm thinking, what a lovely guy. Like you probably got your head on your shoulders. And I thought that's probably why you keep raising your bar higher. And you don't realize the impact you've had on the social media world. So credit to you, my bro. That's really... I find it sad that when people say that to me, people are like, oh my God, I didn't think you would reply. And I'm like, why? But it's because that's what the world is. It's like a stereotypical view. The bigger someone is, you'd think I'm not going to reach out. But you'd have to have, you know, you have to give, like I said, you have to ask to find out. You're not going to know how the person is or give the person the benefit of the doubt and message them.
I'd say that. The biggest message from that is give the person a benefit of the doubt. Because you don't, somebody might say no. And I think there's a lot of pride in a lot of people. Like, people message me and say, can you put this in your story? And I'm like, all right, cool, and I'll put it in story. And they're like, I'm like, for me, firstly, people of colour, especially women of colour, and like my own community, I'm going to propel you. Like, anytime you ask me to do something, I'll put it up for you. As long as it fits to my brand. And like, obviously, there's a lot of like, companies that don't really fit in terms of like, I have a young audience as well at the same time. I'm a teacher. So like, if you're asking me to promote your vape shop, I'm like, I can't really promote your vape shop, but I don't mind promoting people, whether you have 1 million, whether you have 10, whether you have 5, whether you just started a business, I don't mind doing it. Sometimes I don't get to see those messages because my inbox is flooded, I can imagine, which is the case, but I do think you should always reach out to the people because you don't know. Yes, there is an industry of a lot of people I've reached out to people, and there's a lot of people that just ignore you, or they see your message but they don't respond to your message, and I think, okay, that's on you, that's not on me, that's not on my character, that's just you, and that's you, and I see it as your loss. That's the way I see it.
It was your loss,
mate. It's your loss.
But it's good to think like that. But even with you now, again, often, you know, sticking to the subject of becoming popular and doing so well, I want to ask you a question that I've always loved asking people that are doing well online, because we will never see that side of the fame side. Was there a time where you reached out to someone or some company or whoever it might be, an individual, and they didn't give you time of day, but then all of a sudden you've done so well, and now you're thinking, wow, the person's even liked my stuff, or they're trying to get my attention now, but maybe they can't openly say hello because they're thinking, I turfed this guy a few months ago or a year or two ago, and today I don't really want to write to him because he'll feel like I wrote to you, and now the tables have turned. Have you ever been through a situation like that?
Do you know what? More so recently, I think when I first started off doing it, I really wanted to be a part of a community. I've always felt like an outsider. I've got really bad outsider syndrome. Like, so it's always like never Asian enough for the Asians, never white enough for the white people, and just you're always on the outside. So when I first started social media, for me, I grew up on the influencers, like the YouTube creators, so like the Zoellas and the Joe Suggs and all the big names that were all one team. They all went to events together. And I wanted to build my own community. I really wanted to build my own community where we could collaborate with each other. We could make funny videos together. And I reached out to so many people and they never responded. And I was always, again, outsider. And I always thought, why, like managements, for example, there's not enough Asian managements that are managing Asian talent. There's not enough, there's managements that when I was looking for a management, there's managements that have like black or black owned only for black people, black female owned. Where's the just Asian owned, or like what about just the South Asian community?
True.
There is enough content creators out there for us to all be under one umbrella, for us to all go, right, we're going to make videos together, we're going to collaborate together. But I never felt that. And I think when I was starting off, I was just wanting to build community, make friends. And there were so many creators that were big at the time. This is talking lockdown. I'm not going to name them, but there was a lot of them that I'd reach out to, or I'd you know, they'd be on a live and I'd jump in the live and I'd be like, hi, and da-da-da. And when I'd come off it, they'd say stuff like, oh, you know, everyone's trying to make clout from us and da-da-da. And as I surpassed them, I just thought, you know what, we could have been a part of a journey. It would have been brilliant to have a community, but you didn't want to. And now when they've inboxed me going, oh my God, you're doing really well and you're so successful and you've done...
Do you ignore that, or do you still write back?
I'm still gonna be polite, because my parents brought me up with respect people, so I'm always gonna be polite and respond. But in the back of my mind, I'm still like,
fuck off.
Yeah, well, yeah, for a better word, yeah. I'm like, do you know what? At the end of the day, I'm not gonna be. We're not friends, so I appreciate you reaching out and saying thank you, but you're not getting anything from me.
Well, you know, sticking to that. Sorry, something just came to my head. You know, when obviously, again, you mentioned the word that you reached out to people, and you know. I want to speak about the issue within your own culture.
Yeah.
And I find that a big problem. You know, even from what I've seen in my time, I've seen that a lot of your own people, as they say, your own culture, your own community, I feel like they will be the least support you're going to have.
Yeah.
Do you have any opinion on why that is? Because I've never been able to put my finger on it.
Yeah.
Until this day, I still don't know.
Yeah.
And I'm a bloody old man now, and I still don't know why it gets to the point where if they see your own doing well, it's not just I'm picking on the Pakistanis or the Indians or the Bengali community.
Yeah.
I'm just speaking in general. I just feel like there's a big culture problem within our community.
Yeah.
Would you say that exists? And I want to know why you think that exists.
So for me, I do have a lot of support from the Asian community. Like, don't get me wrong, there is a big group of, you know, my Asian followers that do support it. And so I don't think it's necessarily everyone, but I do think there is that culture. I'm not putting my head in the sand and act like, let's not act like it doesn't exist. But I think and I do have a theory, and my theory is that when we grow up, we constantly compare to each other. Whether we're compared by our parents or within our own community, we're compared to each other. So I've always been compared to, like, let's say, a successful cousin, right? As a joke, my mum would be like, like, oh my God, you look how well he's doing. He's married, got kids, he's doing a house, and he's got all this. We compare, don't we? So what we do is we have a resentment towards successful relatives or successful our own. So that's part of it. Yeah. And then when we see them doing well, we're kind of like, oh, this is another person that we're going to get compared to, and and it's internal. It's not superficial. So it's not like I'm looking at, you know, someone, you know, Riz Ahmed doing really well in Hollywood, and I'm going, oh, and there's another person I'm really compared to, because my mum ain't comparing me to Riz Ahmed, is she? But it's just in your mind internally, you've got this, that's another one of us that is that I'm not as good as, I'm not good enough as.
So you think that leads to hate and...
Yes, and then the other flip side is society tells us that. So these spaces were never for us. This is what society has told us. Acting, TV, society told us, our parents told us, engineer, doctor, nurse, like all those are our careers. We will excel in them and do well in them and stay in your lane. When you move out of your lane, if I am successful on social media, then there's a group of people that are like, hold on, no, we were told that this wasn't our lane. So why is one of our own crossed over the other side? That's what it is, isn't it? Like, we were told to stay in this section.
So who are you to get out?
That's gone on this section. I've not only gone on that section, is growing and doing well on that section. Why? But that we never had those opportunities. And I think a lot of older people see that with influencers, so they are so happy for me to dog down influencers until I dog down the royal family who they love. You know what I mean? So like, that's the same culture in the sense that I'm okay for you to talk about influencers because, well, I never got those opportunities when I was younger. The internet wasn't around. I couldn't make millions off, because you can make millions off social media.
Yes,
you know what I mean?
yeah,
people can make millions of social media. I never got that. So it's the same thing as somebody who's now fully formed as a doctor, been successful, now seeing someone making twice as much as them, doing twice
with
as less as them,
and
with everything that they wanted.
The perks,
And you go, well, why are you doing so? That's my theory in it. I think it's because it's internalized hatred towards ourselves that's then verbalized on trying to bring them down. Tall poppy syndrome is like, you're growing too tall, mate, let me cut you down and let me put you in your place. People say it to me all the time. So somebody came up with in the street once and he was like, I didn't even ask. Like, it's not like I walk in the street with a big sign going, I'm Shabaz Says, come and say hello to me. Right? I was just buying gelato, and this girl came past and she was with her partner, and the girl was like, oh my God, you Shabaz Says, I love your videos. And I was like, thank you so much. And then he was like, what, who are you? And I was like, I just make videos online. I always dog myself down. I was like, I just make like funny videos. And he was like, oh, right, okay, well, so are you famous then? Are you a celebrity? And I was like, why are you coming at me with this energy? Like, it's not like I had the big sign on my head or I went up to you.
I've seen that happen so much. You're so right. I feel that.
Oh I didn't go up to him and go, do you know who I am? I'm famous. I got 1 point. I was minding my own business, picking ice cream, and you've come up to me and then now you're saying to me, well, what do you think you're a celebrity? Do you think you're famous? And I was like, this is
I ain't done nothing. I'm just standing here.
I'm just standing here. You approach me. And then also like, those situations that where people have said, or people have inboxed me and gone, I wanted to come and say hello to you. Saw you sat in a restaurant, wanted to say hello to you, but I didn't want you to get too big-headed. Like, really, like, is that the world we live in? Like, you can't come and say hello to me because you think, oh, it'll blow smoke up his backside.
See, the thing is, when people come up to people, obviously a lot of my friends are doing really well. And when I do understand when you're with your wife and your kids and people don't approach you because it's through respect as well. But there is a situation where your time is your time. Like, you could be having a bad day, bro. Like, obviously, naturally, you could be having an argument with your partner, have an argument with your mother, your brothers, whatever. And I think at that time, the last thing you want to do is sit there and you have to now put the face on of being this social media guy. And you're thinking in your head, I don't really want to do this. Yeah. Has it got to that point where you've just sometimes ignored them or actually felt like, I was so bloody rude, man?
No, when I first started getting recognised, I used to be like that. And not purposefully,
not deliberately,
I just didn't know that I was doing it, and my friends would say, "Oh my God, you were like really awkward," and I'm like, I wasn't trying to be awkward, but it's just you start to me in the middle of Tesco, and I'm just minding my own business, doing like that, and you've come up to me, and then I appreciate it. I love that the fact that people are confident enough to do that. And maybe I'm giving that image that, come and approach me, which is absolutely brilliant. But when they come up to me, there's an expectation. And it's not even from them, it's my own. I thought, they want me to be funny, but I'm not in that funny mood right now.
Exactly.
I'm just tired, I'm exhausted. I've got so much going on. I'm not in that funny mood right now. I'm not Shabaz Says, I'm just Shabaz at the moment. And I'm the pressure of like trying to perform has then made me be awkward. You know what I mean? And
100%.
I don't think that they've felt it, but my friends have gone, you never seemed like yourself in that moment. I don't think they were like, oh my God, Shabaz Says, and they walked off like, I just saw him. But but my friends have gone, why were you acting like so there was that.
And the worst thing is, as they've walked off, they probably said, "What an idiot!" And then they probably told 10 other people.
But this is it. This is my fear. So I'm always like, I need to perform because they're gonna be like, they're gonna go tell all their friends like, oh my God, I met him in real life and he's this. Because I've had people say it to me that I met. You know when somebody says to you, "Oh, I met them. Oh, he was right moody. He was right."
Yeah, he was right.
But he might just be having that. If 10 people say it, then fair enough. Okay, there's starting to become a bit of a pattern. If one person says it, you kind of like, well, I've not heard that. I've heard he's lovely. I've heard, you know what I mean? You can make your own.
Yeah, exactly.
But we live in this world where word of mouth, especially as an Asian person, my reputation is what's gonna be everything. And I think somebody said to me about when I was doing like making money on social media, they said, sort your taxes out and sort all that out, because they said the media will make an example out of you because you are not someone mainstream like who should be in this industry, so they will find any way to sort of go, right, let's see what he's doing, let's see his bank, let's see his account, and let's try to knock him down. So like I went straight to an accountant and got all that sorted. I was like, I don't know what I'm doing, but this is the money I'm making, can you please do something with it? Like I don't know, I'll pay as much as you need me to, but just do something about this. And but yeah, no, in the industry I'm getting better at it, so definitely better at it now. I have couple of cues, so I've got a couple of things written down. I'm like, so they say to me, "Hi, you're right, are you Shabaz Says?" I'm like, yeah, I am. And then I like talk to them. I'm like, "Oh, you didn't recognize me without my hoodie on." So it's like that.
Yeah, break the ice sort of thing.
Because people are really. I know when I've met somebody who I admire or who I watch a lot, I get a bit starstruck. I'm a bit like,
of course, we all do, yeah.
You just don't know what you're saying. Like the lines, the words are there, but they're just not verbalizing. So I give them the opportunity to do that, and then they can, But some people just stand there and like.
Make it awkward.
I'm like, do I walk away now? And it was really lovely meeting you, and then I walk off. So now I've been able to learn that, but it is difficult.
Bro, you know what? Another thing where, we're talking about fans and people that approach you and stuff. I want to know how you deal with online trolling. Because you got such a big following online, and people with a smaller following still get, so much, hate and backlash. And I want to know, are you one of them people, when you get trolled, do you take it well, or do you sometimes sit there thinking, like, why the fuck would you do that? Do you know me? Because I think, it depends again on your mood as well. Some days you're really funny. If someone's sworn at you, you're like, love you too. But then certain days you're like, you know what,
I did not want to hear this today.
And you sometimes, maybe react in a way where you later regret it. But at the heat of the moment, because someone might have said something really out of line, bringing your family into it, and I want to know how you deal with that. And do you have them days where you just totally flip out?
Do you know, on social media, the thing is, I've got a lot of filters on everything, like keywords, filters and everything. So I don't feel like maybe either. So like I said, I'm very like self-deprecating. So it's always a case of like, maybe I do get hate and I don't know I get hate. But then people are like, maybe your content's just be not hate worthy, which is stupid, because my friends have said that to me. I'm like, but there are people out there literally doing the nicest things and they get hate. So it's not the content that's so brilliant that people are hating. It's just because I think I've just locked it down as much. But also, I don't know. I think because I'm so self-critical, what are you going to say to me that I haven't said to myself? You know what I mean? Like, you know what I mean? So it's always that thing where I'm so critical of myself that when you say something critical of me, I've already said that 10 times before. And like, curse words and insults don't bother me at all. It's good. For me, what bothers me is when you are so wrong in what you're saying from something I've said. That upsets me. So,
but was that always the case, or was that something that you've grown into? Because as you said before, you've been doing this for almost a decade. So maybe in the beginning, did you react different? Or was it with time you became like immune to it?
Yeah, I'm definitely more immune to it. I think I'm more immune to it now on social media. Like if somebody says something negative, I think when somebody says something negative, F word, or effing and jeffing or whatever, like it really doesn't make a difference to me, because, okay, cool, right? I really don't care. It's when it's a statement of something I've said and you've misinterpreted it, but you've sort of taken it out of context and turned it into something that suits your agenda. That's what annoys me.
Or maybe twist your words or make it look like a certain way.
That's what it is. Like if I'm saying something and you've gone and taken it out of context and going out there saying it, sometimes I do read my inbox. I spend far too much time reading my inbox, but only because you miss messages.
It's normal, isn't it? Yeah.
Like if I hadn't read my inbox, we wouldn't have been having this thing. So I do read my inbox because there's so many people in there that might not go to management, might want to come to me directly. So I do, and there's so many lovely comments in there. On an odd occasion, you get a few people that are like very hypercritical of something I've said, and I'm like somebody messaged me once a couple of weeks ago saying, "Why are you always showing off about how much you have?" And I don't think they understood that I wasn't me. It wasn't me with those videos. So there are those people, but there's also like people that. But it doesn't bother me. I think the only time I clap back or I say something is when somebody's so wrong in what their opinion is, and it's not. I'm not justifying it to you. So people go, "Don't justify it to the haters." I'm like, I'm not justifying it. I'm just trying to clarify, because they might not be hating. They may just have the wrong interpretation of what I've said. So let me clarify it. Other times, I've got enough followers for them to deal with it. Honestly, there's times where somebody says something negative, I'll pin it. So even if they say something negative, I'll pin it and I'll be like, you lot sort her out, gather her and do what you need to do. At one time, this woman messaged me and she was really hateful in the comments, like, what are you doing? So this notion of, you talk about poverty and 800 million people starving in the world. I always post political stuff. What are you doing about it? And I thought, this is the mentality. This is the issue. Because what are you doing about it? So you can post about it. Well, I'm also talking to 1.5 million people and telling them about it. So that's the first thing I did about it. What are you doing, Maria? So I posted her clip on thingy, and I just posted, opened a suggestion and said, can you please respond to Maria? I had thousands and thousands of comments that were just responses to Maria, which made me feel good.
So you actually feel like mentally you've got an army of supporters. I like to call them supporters because they support your movement and they support your vision. And without them, let's be real, you wouldn't be doing what you're doing at the moment. And I want to lead on to that question, bro, and say how what's your views on the connection with social media and mental health? Because mental health is something we really cover it well on our podcast, because we believe that someone should learn something from it. And with people like yourself, there's a lot of people that want to become like you. And I want to know what your message is for people to you know, what's your message for them to be strong and how to deal with mental health? Because I think personally, mental health is very much become a bigger problem since social media became bigger and bigger.
100%.
So what's your views on that? Would you like to break that down in your words?
Well, I think my I'm rich or poor thing is doing bits for mental health. You know,
it really is,
because it's basically saying that, like the whole I say POVVO on pride, POVVO pride or POVVO on proud is that we've lived in this world where you look up at social media and you see people with so much more than you, and you always compare yourself to them, and that affects your mental health. Whereas I'm saying, you don't have to have that, but you can also be proud of the fact that you don't have that. And you also look at the comment section and see 100 other people that are saying, yeah, I couldn't even afford to pay my bills this month. And it's not saying that be proud of being poor, but it is saying that at the same time. It's saying be proud of the fact that I might not have $1 billion. I might not be able to get a private jet or have a, Lamborghini. But at the end of the day, at the same time, I'm proud of I'm humbled enough, and I'm proud of where I am and where I stand.
No, you're true.
And that's really big for mental health. And I think, when I take the mic and I poke fun, firstly, people are enjoying it and laughing along, but also at the same time, it's also making them feel better. And that's my biggest comments on social media. It's always, my inbox is always flooded with, you don't understand, I'm going through a hard time and I'm always comparing myself, I'm not good enough. You're telling me that you are good enough. And even if you're not good enough, so what? Doesn't matter, does it? Like, it doesn't matter that you're not Kim Kardashian. You be you and don't worry about it. You get into your banger and you go and go to your house that you can't afford to pay your electric, and it doesn't really matter, does it?
You know what hit me? What hit me the most was, when you just said that, so many times you hear it in the day.
Yeah.
Like someone will come and sit there and go, yeah, I went to Mayfair earlier, had like black cod, and you're so right, because it's a thing where they're indirectly saying to you, while you were eating the local kebabish, I was in Mayfair.
Look what I've got.
Look what I've got.
I'm rich, you're poor.
Yeah.
While I was eating thinking, what did you have to eat today? Oh, kebabish. All right, well, I'm rich, you're poor. And I think that's the biggest thing, isn't it? Like the people on social media, I think the best thing is, what people have said to me is when they're scrolling, it's look what I have, look what I have, look what I have, and then Shabaz pops up going, I don't care what you've got, it doesn't matter, you're poor, don't worry about it. You know what I mean? So it's an antidote to all the BS online. So it's like my version of going, do you know what? Let me cure the disease of social media, which is what I'm trying to do. I think it's actually helped a lot of people. I think you're right, because with your stuff, when people watch it, they actually feel like we might not have what they have, but we know we haven't. Yeah, and it's
so
okay.
do your thing. Yeah.
And not only that, it's so isolating. Social media is so isolating. So you're on your phone in your room watching all these people with everything, and you feel alone. I'm the only person that can't afford to pay my gas and electric. I'm the only person that can't afford to buy designer stuff. When you go on my social media and you look at the comment section and you see 100 other people, you go, actually, that's where the POVVO gang communities come from. It's this idea that we're all in it together to say, well, I can't afford designer either, and it's okay. And if you can afford designer, that's also okay. That's fine. You do you. You know what I mean? You just have to tell everyone about it. And it's a really clear distinction. I really want people to understand that. It's not about dogging down the rich. It's not saying that don't be rich, because everyone's grafting. We're all trying to make, if an Asian person's doing well, do well. I will always support my brothers and sisters to do well, right? I always propel them into doing the most. But then don't forget where you come from. So I recently got a lot of backlash from this Asian girl online who, has come from nothing. Her parents worked in restaurants. She worked in restaurants. She's got this massive house, and that is so good. And I praise you, and I think you're brilliant. But you don't need to tell everybody how much you have now. Just because you people go, yeah, but she made it from nothing, and that's brilliant.
That's irrelevant, isn't it?
But she doesn't have to tell everyone what she's now got, because there's still people that are still trying to make it from nothing. So it's not about you going out there. If you went out there and just yourself and going, I'm doing really well, and had a community of people going, oh my God, this is brilliant. You don't need to show your designer handbag and how much it costs, and your shopping and how much it all costs, and the really expensive creams and lotions and potions you're using. Why does it matter? Like, you know what I mean? Why does it matter? So I think with mental health, though, in answering your question, sorry, I go off on a tangent.
No, I like that.
Answer the question, I'd say to anyone that wants to make it on social media or do social media, put yourself first. You have to fight for yourself first. Don't worry about everyone else. Fight for yourself first. Do what's right by you. If you have a talent, or even if you don't, do something that you enjoy online. And if people join it, then they join it. And if they don't worry about it. I think people are so but I've been showcasing my music for 6 months, and people aren't listening to it. When the time is right, I'm a big believer in destiny and like kismet and stuff. And I think when it's your time, It's your time, and that will be your time for everyone to recognize you. I always knew from a young age that I was like funny in a way. Like, I know it sounds really dumb, but I never thought I was I always knew that I was entertaining.
Yeah.
I just needed the rest of the world. Yeah, I just needed the rest of the world to know I was entertaining, and then that's what's happening now. So whenever people say, "Oh, you're doing really well on social media," I'm like, part of me, the kid in me knew that I was going to do amazing things. It's just I needed everyone else to catch up. You know what I mean? Without sounding really, it sounds. I don't. But
you can see that because that's why you're saying you started a very long time ago and you never gave up.
Yeah.
You never gave up until you knew I'm getting there now.
Yeah.
And even now, like you said, you still believe because you keep raising your bar higher.
Yeah.
There's no such thing as the ultimate person.
Yeah.
And next you could do films and dramas or whatever you want to go into. So I think that's exactly what you're trying to say.
Yeah, just enjoy what you're doing online, because I think that it's so tough out there, and trying to be someone else. There are 8 billion people. We're not all the same person. Do what's right by you. And I never did that. I always tried to be a version of someone else. Everyone tries to be a version of what their parents want or their friends want. You know what I mean? We all become a version of someone.
Or someone you look up to.
Yeah, and I thought, let me stay in my lane and do that. And when people are saying, it's when people celebrate you for you, that you go, wow, I should not have spent, take it for someone older, I should not have spent 10 years. I remember as a kid, I spent, from the age of like 15, 16 to 25, I spent so many years wasting my life trying to be a version of someone else, until I just realized that I can just be myself. And now I'm being celebrated for being 100% myself. The northern, the working class, the whoever I am. People used to say to me, you talk so much, you're so loud, you always suck all the air out of the room. Well, now 1 million people are celebrating me doing that. You know what I mean? Like
exactly.
Now I'm on a podcast doing exactly just that. And
amazing.
You know what I mean?
It's a success story, bro. Like you said, when people look down at you, you just mentally feel like I need to be what's trending.
Yeah.
So if someone's telling you this is right, you're going to now change everything about you to become someone you're really not.
Yeah.
And I think that's exactly what you're trying to say.
Yeah, we have regrets as well. I remember, I was on TikTok back in the day, and when I first started doing it, I was only like on 20, 30K. And there was this one TikToker who was young, a lot younger than me, and was doing all these controversial videos where he was like bullying people for like having a disability. And I just said to him, I said, you're getting those views right now, but do you not want to be more than just those views in 10 years time? In 10 years time, you're 18 years old. By the age of 28, what if you get an opportunity that'll change your family's life, your life, you get a career in Hollywood, whatever. You don't know that, do you? But you've lost all those opportunities because you wanted to make quick buck. You wanted to do quick viral video. So I want a quick viral video now, but I'm not thinking of longevity. I'm thinking, anything I say and anything I do, I always think long term. I'm always thinking, and I know some things are just, we're in that world where you could say anything 10 years ago and it's like, you shouldn't have said man, you know what I mean? You know what I mean? So there are those things, but when you're really super controversial, and a lot of people do that because at this day and age, everything is viral, everything's trending. Let's have a fight, let's have a beef, let's have whatever. Yeah. But in 10 years' time, do you not want to be more than just that beef online? And people don't think like that. People don't think I want to be beyond my community. And that's it. We grow up that, don't we? Like I said, if we go back to what we previously said, we grow up not thinking we're going to get any more than what we've already got. Like I'm 10 years ahead, and I'm like, in 10 years' time, I'm going to have more than what I have. I want to do this, I want to... Yeah, and we don't think like that. We think like that in the business world and in the medicine world and in the engineering world. But on social media, we think, well, I'm making viral videos now, but in 5 years' time, I might not have that vibe. I met, Jamila Jamil recently.
Oh, brilliant.
And she said to me, she goes to me, I stayed as a teacher, because she was a teacher. She goes, I stayed as a teacher for 8 months, despite having TV shows, films and all that, going on from Monday to Friday doing that, then Saturday, Sunday, because she goes, we all have that fear that this will all go away. I still now have that fear that this will all disappear. I wake up every morning thinking this might just be a dream.
One big dream, yeah.
It's one big dream, and it all go away, and I will lose everything. And it's not the followers, it's not the money, it's the ability to do more in this world. That's what my biggest platform is, to be able to voice all the injustice out there and have a platform for it. So when I go and meet brands, the first thing I say is, what can we do for the POVVOs? Like, what else are we doing? I'm meeting, I want to publish a book, and my biggest thing to publishers when I meet them, or when I will have conversations is, how can I give back to schools? What am I doing for schools? What am I doing for children reading? What am I doing for the Asian community who doesn't read? What am I doing?
So there's always like a goal for you in every project you do.
100%.
I like that.
You need to be doing. Yeah. There's no point in me having all this and not doing anything. There's so much in this world that needs sorting. What's the point in me having all this and not being able to do something
Or
else
give
with
back
it.
to your community or make your name.
And more of us, if more of us did that, we wouldn't have half the problems we have. You know what I mean? Everyone should be doing more with the fame you have, but people don't want that. People want to get the fame, want to get the money, and then just be done with it.
See, I always say this about people that are famous and stuff, and I always say with you guys, there's a responsibility to an extent, because you've been given the fame, the love, that maybe people like us, we don't have that. We don't have the name that you guys have, and I think that's what the kind of like, you know, we kind of call out for people that have got fame to just promote the right thing. Just do what you're doing. If you've got that power and God's chosen you, because it is God's chosen. God chooses people who he wants to give to. And for you to have that power, but now you're misusing it and you're promoting the wrong stuff, like you said about, you know, vape shops, and there's certain things that your audience wouldn't appreciate. And maybe you as a man don't appreciate it. Now, I'm not really, you know, I don't have a problem with it, but I don't want to be seen.
Good that you're doing that. It's not my thing. It's not my brand.
And I think even like the fact that you said that, I always believe that's a very positive thing that you just said, that, you know, you've been given a power to an extent, and I want to use it the right way. I still want to have fun and do what I do with my friends and stuff, but I don't want to use my followers and my supporters and guide them all in the wrong way. I'd rather use it in a positive light, and I think that's credit to you, brother.
Raising as much awareness about, even if I'm just doing a story post, I can't go out to Yemen, and, you know, I can go out and do that. I might not
maybe
have the
your
ability
timetable
to it.
and stuff.
And I can't go and do
physically,
certain things. Like politics, we can't solve the problems, but we can raise as much and make as much noise 100%. And raise as much awareness about it. And that's the minimum we can do, at least.
Of course.
You know what I mean? If it wasn't for how many people fought for just standing up the streets, picket lines and doing all that, we wouldn't have the rights that we have this day.
Absolutely.
People of colour wouldn't have had these rights. Protests and you know, even look at our country, like back home, Pakistan and India, it was people that fought for their partition, people that fought for their own rights, for us to be able to even have a country of our own. And even in this country, so it's all these little things that people think people are stunted by what they can't do. But I've not got followers, I can't do anything. Make as much noise if you can, raise awareness as much as you can. At this flip side, there's too much expectation sometimes from people.
Exactly.
Like, you've not spoken about Palestine today. You've not spoken about the riots in France today. I can't do everything. And I get that. Allow me to have an opportunity to talk about it. But sometimes it's not, people might not want to raise awareness about it. And that's okay as well.
Yeah, maybe you feel a certain way about a country or a certain person or a certain movement.
Which isn't going to, it's not effective. It's not effective to the conversation, right? So if I'm talking about something that I believe in, it might not be relevant to the conversation. It might not be progressive enough for the conversation. Me posting about this conversation is going to make more issues between the two communities. So I'm not going to say anything about it. And I know you might not like that, but that's just how I feel. I know I'm a level-headed person, and I can make my own judgment and go, for me, this is not something I'm going to talk about. I'm going to stay away from it. I feel that about like Ukraine and Russia. I'm staying out of it. Because this is not a conversation I'm having, not because I have an opinion, it's just because it's not my conversation. Like,
you've got an opinion, but I say the same thing, bro. Like, I don't have an opinion to say, I don't know what's going on. I don't know what, you know.
I'm not educated enough.
Exactly. So, it's a bit like religion. Like, as much as, you know, you'd like to think you're the best version you can be, but I think there's a way of saying it. And I'd rather stay out of it instead of saying something the wrong way, you know? Because you might be telling someone to do something and he's thinking, bro, the way you said that, you've actually put me off.
And religion is one of those I don't talk about on social media.
Not because
I'm ashamed of it or anything like
that.
Nothing
for you.
But it's my own belief, it's my own thing, and I think I'm not educated enough to give advice to people.
Unless it's the basic stuff,
like
pray or...
the basic things of be a decent person, you know what I mean? All the basic things we can do, but I think I'm not educated enough to be a voice, and I don't want to be put on a pedestal of being the voice of this community or this 100%. Religion, and me mess up and be the
reason for someone messing up.
They're always finding a reason to knock us down off a pedestal. So, like I say about, you know, Asians in the media at the moment, if you notice all the TV shows and everything, they never really bring the best versions of those. It's always the jokey version of that community. I'm going to use an example of like this Netflix Hulu show that came out of these sisters, the Kardashian sisters. And whenever it's Muslims or a community on TV, you never just get a normal one. You never just get, or like when somebody's out there debating on Question Time, or, you know, there'll be some really educated ones, some people with some good ability to speak, but you also always get the jokes that won't really say what's meant to be said, and because that's what they always put us in. They'll always find the worst version of us and give them the biggest credit. And I just don't want to be part of like a conversation that I'm not educated enough in.
No, respect to
so
that,
I'll
bro.
say what I need to say and I will post it. But then sometimes I'll post something and somebody will message me and go, that's not right because of X, Y, and Z and the history. And I'll go, oh, that's an interesting.
Thanks for letting me know.
And
yeah,
educating me.
Yeah, of course.
We're not perfect.
Because we're learners, bro. Yeah, exactly.
As
That's
a
the
teacher,
word.
honestly, I say to the pupils all the time, I say, if I make a mistake, and
Just tell me.
Tell me, and I'll apologize because I'm a human being, and I can, as a teacher, I can apologize to you. As a human being, I can apologize and go, mate, I messed up there.
Absolutely.
Sorry, and I'll correct it. So.
Nah, bro.
Yeah.
You know what? That's respect. I like that. I like the views you've got on that. It's quite positive, and I think that's exactly how I feel.
Yeah.
So bingo on that.
Yeah.
So, bro, before we wrap up, I want to speak to you about people that want to create content.
Yeah.
Because we always leave a positive mark with people. People that look up to you and think, we want to do what Shabaz is doing. I want to ask you two things. So, number one, I want you to know what social media app would you say is probably the best to give your time to?
Yeah.
Because obviously a lot of people, they make a video with TikTok in their head.
Yeah.
Then a lot of people do it for Instagram, and a lot of people do it for...
you got shorts and you got threads and Twitter and Facebook, and you're
so
like...
in your opinion, in your humble opinion, what would you recommend and why? Because that'd probably be good for me as well.
When I started doing TikTok, with all due respect to TikTok HQ, I always felt stunted by them. I always felt like everybody else, like when you look at TikTok events and you look at all these, point out the Asian face in that crowd. I'm going to tell you now, there have been... Last year, they had a successful end of year party. Considering I started my year on 100,000 followers and I ended at 1 million, I would say that was pretty successful.
Of course it was.
Do you think I got an invite to that? No, I didn't. They also had people there that had about 200k, 100k.
TikTok, yeah?
Yeah, this is TikTok. I've always felt that the Asian community is really stunted in everything. If you want diversity, what you're going to do is go white is right, because that's the original, that's the default, and then go to the other end and go black, right? And that's what they'll do. And there's no disrespect. I want my black brothers and sisters to do well.
Of course, respect to everyone, yeah.
They will always use them as, we're diverse now. Look how diverse we've got, a white person and a black person. Well, no, there's also all the other people in between. And what they do with the in-betweens is they find the most obvious person. Let's grab a hijabi and we'll put hijabi in it. Whether she knows what she's doing or not, we'll just stick her in it because that's a representation of Muslim. We've got a Muslim in there as well. They don't really give us enough credit. We don't get the same opportunities as everyone else. And so TikTok is one of those where I've seen... Look out, if you follow some of the big content creators on TikTok.
Me personally, I can't stand it. I'm not even on it.
Yeah, well, there's a lot of people on TikTok. TikTok can be a very toxic place, but it can also be a good place to get good viral moments. So that's why it's good. Like, if you want to build a brand, TikTok's definitely a place where you can...
No, I've always said that I would go back on it. It's just, when you just post something and you just don't feel that
there's no community
connection with it. I don't feel it. Like, obviously,
Instagram's definitely worth that. Yeah, Instagram's definitely built a community because I think Instagram's had longevity, and I think people dedicate their life to. You have to build your own profile and do that. Whereas on TikTok, you can make an account. You can make about 6 accounts now in a minute.
Yeah.
And just with 6
I
different emails.
I always feel like on TikTok. Correct me if I'm wrong. You're the expert in this. I always feel like with TikTok, you don't need to have any talent. Not in a rude way, you don't. You can record a video walking down the street or be on live walking down the street and you'll get... There's a woman that sleeps and she makes 12k just sleeping. So you could just sleep and people record you and then you can just make 12k. All right, we talk right now. I sleep a lot.
That's it. Just put it on record and people will send you money. But this is it.
See, that's the thing. When you say stuff like that, I feel so sorry for people that have been trying so hard with... trying to make content, spending money, and have talent.
Have genuine a voice and something they want to say in the world, and they're not getting the opportunity. It makes me so sad. Like, honestly, I think when I'm in the same place as you. Like, I know there's so many talented kids, right? So I teach kids. I've seen some talented pupils, but they don't do anything because there's that fear of, I can't be as good as everyone else. Firstly, I can't be as good as everyone else. I can't get as viral as everyone else. Secondly, it's all the trolling and the hate I'm going to get. So many school kids. There was this kid that I used to teach and he used to play piano. And I've talked about him before, and he used to play the most beautiful piano, but he was a proper jock kid. Rugby, sports and all that, football and whatever. But I knew that other side of him as a teacher. No one else did. Obviously, the pupils didn't, but he'd take music lessons and he played the most beautiful piano. And I said, why are you not... Like, your music makes me cry. Like, I love music. I was like, your music makes me cry. It's so beautiful. Is that not online? Why is that not viral? Why is it... Oh, no, I'm not doing that. They'll all take the mick at me. And I thought, what a shame. What an actual shame that people will never get to hear that because you're so fearful. Because
it's not seen as a man, not in a rude way. It's not seen as a man. You ain't going to wear a vest with your muscles sticking out and playing a piano, are you? And I think that's, again, it's stereotypical. And I think that's why these kids, even with talent in something else won't pursue that because it's not cool. Do you know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah, it's not cool, and it's not what we should be doing or what's right.
Yeah, a
and
bit out of the
what
norm,
the
innit?
norm is. Yeah, and so TikTok is one of those where it is hard to. I think quick viral videos and quick viral moments, like a podcast that you're doing, a quick viral clip of something really controversial or something really thing is done. But I think if you want to build a brand and you want to build an audience and
Longevity,
a following, I think Instagram, and then. The problem with me on Instagram is I feel like these opportunities I love. So when people say to me, come and do a podcast, I love because I'm an intelligent person. I like to talk about things.
It's true, yeah.
But people don't see that because they see this quick 1 second, a 15-second video, 30-second video, and they think, oh, he's always in bed all the time complaining about rich people.
It's so true.
Well, no, there's a lot more to it.
I was expecting you to be completely different.
Yeah, so people
Not that I knew you're smart because I was talking to you for quite a while
and
I could get the gist of the way you are. But in general, I was thinking maybe you're someone who's a bit clowny.
Yeah, just all the time. I mean, I can be, but,
I love
the depth in it.
But you've got a part of you that is the real you, but then at the same time you've got that same vibe of what you show. Yeah. And I didn't expect that to be honest.
Like I take the mic. Honestly, we were sat with family yesterday. And everyone gets shot. Everyone gets one. Like I'm like, get her. Any insecurity she's got, get her. And it's always a joke. It's always light-hearted banter. So I do love doing that. But there is so much depth to a character. But reels are very hard because you don't get a lot of depth. And don't forget, Instagram is also. There was a culture on Instagram where it was all perfection. So if you are not the perfection, then you will always feel really out of your element in Instagram. So that is the hard bit about Instagram is reels are good because a lot of people are watching the short form videos, but you are also limiting your audience. It's going to be YouTube. It's got to be YouTube because I think YouTube still has the power to allow you to, which is why I'm going back onto YouTube. I'm still going to do my reels and my shorts and whatever, but I'm going to go back on YouTube because I think the power to be able to say what you need to say in a space
in a wider audience,
in a space that's always been. The only problem that I find with YouTube is them 15 million adverts. If I just need to quickly search something, you know when you're telling someone, you're like, oh yeah, remember that?
Have you heard that new tune?
Yeah, that you're waiting 15 minutes for an advert first, but you know your
and now they add two adverts,
and they've gone. You know when you're really trying to convince somebody it's a good song, right? And then you put the advert, you wait 3 adverts, and you're like, and by then they've lost. They weren't even interested in the first 5 seconds, right? Now they are definitely not interested in what you wanted to show them.
It's so true.
And YouTube used to be a quick thing that, oh, remember that sound? What was that sound? That woman.
But if you sign up to YouTube Premium, they remove the ads.
Yeah,
right?
I know, but I'm not paying $14.99. I'm poor, right? I'm not paying $14.99 for YouTube, right? Premium. It's a joke, isn't it? Like just to get rid of a couple of adverts. But to be fair, $14.99 for that inconvenience. I'm going to do it. No, because it's, do you know, like that 2 15-second adverts that you just sat there like.
Man, it can be so annoying, bro. Especially with me and my little boy. Like my little boy's watching TV. You put on a program.
You've lost him then, haven't you?
5 minutes into the advert, it was 5 minutes into the program, an advert will come on it. He starts screaming. Yeah. And I'm like, I'll just put it on for you.
When he's got, how old is he now?
He's 18 months.
Yeah, right. So wait till he's like 2 or 3 and you lose him because you've got him focused and he's watching this and you're doing whatever you're doing. The minute the advert comes on, you've lost him. He's running around the room.
He's like that now. Yeah. He's running around now. Yeah. But Shabaz, you know what? We are coming to the end of the show and I want to obviously leave on a positive note and say for someone who's wants to come up, what would be your final piece of advice to someone that wants to start a world in social media? Yeah. Sticking, to maybe something similar to what you've done. What would be your advice to them?
Be yourself. If you think you're good enough, then you are good enough, right? Don't let other people tell you you're not good enough, and don't let other people tell you that you're either you are or you're not. Because if you have a talent and you know that I'm good enough to be on social media, I have the confidence to do it, then go and do it. If people join that, whether it takes a year, whether it takes 5, whether it takes 10, let it happen. Keep doing what you're doing. Keep working hard. And also don't compromise on your own beliefs because I think people compromise too much on their own beliefs. So if I feel strongly about something and just because 100 people are telling me that, it's not, obviously within the parameters of like morals, like don't be like morally corrupt or going out there going, I'm going to say my beliefs because Shabaz told me to. But if you genuinely believe that I'm a good person and I'm doing right, then carry on doing what you're doing and don't compromise, especially people from our community. We compromise too much in order to be successful. We compromise our own Asianness or our own culture to try to be what a version of someone else is. So don't compromise on anything and just have fun, man. Honestly, social media is supposed to be fun. Like it's not supposed to be like a huge business move. Just have fun. If you're a funny person, have fun. If you're an insightful person, be insightful. You play music, you do makeup, whatever you do, have fun and people will see you're having fun. And then, hopefully that will bring you success. And if it doesn't, it is what it is, right? Look, at the end of the day, we weren't all made to be successful in one thing, but at least graft. I know you did your absolute best. If it didn't work, it doesn't work. So, yeah.
So there you have it, guys. That was the legend himself, Mr. Shabaz. Shabaz says. So there, if you liked what you saw, guys, make sure you like, comment, share, and subscribe. And on a final note, I want you to end off with that, the whole "you're rich."
Yeah, on today's episode of I'm Rich, You're Poor, you can't be on a podcast, can you? That's what it is, isn't it? I'm sat here on a podcast. You can't because you're poor.
There you have it, guys. Peace out.